if you're in a relationship that is difficult, go and change and adjust the difficulties that you hold inside you. Remember, and I mean, I've talked about this a million times, but it, you don't have these problems because of what happened outside you, like PTSD, or we'll call it PTSD, but emotional training. But let's say, for example, you had a mean, controlling dad or a husband or wife or a boss, or you saw something horrific. It's not because that happened that gave you PTSD. It's how your brain captured it, took it in, and internalized it and translated it. Five people can have the exact same experience and they all act five different ways. So it's not the event that gave it to you, but rather how your brain captured it, held it, processed it, and projected it.
Every time you say that, I feel like I am not a victim. It feels very empowering for to hear that.
That's true. It is true, though.
Yes. And no one's a victim then of anything that you're going to experience because it's what your brain has captured.
Now,
And
you can victimize yourself with what happened and you replay and traumatize yourself and project it and imagine the worst scenarios. And that's what people do. Trauma is just emotional education for survival. What you do in your head makes the difference. Now, again, the bad thing is there's a lot of people out there talking about PTSD, and you know what? They're still pointing at other people.
right.
They're
That's true.
pointing at them.
Mm,
But here's the crazy thing is, if say you had a person who is an unhealthy person, you'll call it a toxic narcissist, right? Unkind. The bad thing is that you're learning how to be one like them. You know
mm.
why? Because you're experiencing it. How do you think they got to be that way? They had experiences. Now, either one or two things. Either one, you're going to be the glove, or you're going to be the hand that fits in the glove. And sometimes you flip flop. You can be the abuser, and then you can be the abusee.
Mm.
So that's the craziness. Now, again, like you said, you started reading this stuff and go, oh my God, I'm one too. And you know why you say that? Because you got programming.
Right, right. Hmm.
I do too. And I remember and when, because here it is, I'm working myself in the early days and a new relationship, and I wanted to control that relationship with certain things. And I thought, oh, that's not a healthy thing to do. So I tapped on it immediately.
When you notice those unhealthy, what is called a narcissistic trait
Hmm.
inside of
Hmm.
yourself, like, can you share a little bit about what you specifically do? Because you
Right. So
truly model an
yeah.
example.
So one of the things that I have learned in the early age as a kid is something similar you've kind of talked about. When bad things happen, I escape.
Mhm.
So I walk away. Now I don't want to fight. I don't want to create another problem. So if I were in a relationship like you're mentioning, all
Mhm.
right. So again, a healthy relationship say, hey, let's talk about what's going on. What's your role? What's my role? Well, if you're in a relationship with the other person who is acting in unhealthy ways, and they say there's nothing wrong with what I do,
Wow.
then you're at the position go, okay, hmm,
Wow. Okay. So right there. So I have to process this, but so if I would be speaking to someone and we know there's an issue, but
hmm,
they are, they have no problem. And yet there's clearly a problem, but
yeah,
their perception is there's no problem with themselves.
right,
You're not really going to go anywhere with that conversation.
right. Well, again, remember, you have to understand a person who does wrong in their mind, they're right.
Right. Okay. Okay. Yes.
And you must adjust to their rightness in spite of how bad it hurts you. They expect you to give in their way. When it begins, like if you're in a relationship and they're always in the beginning, let's say for example, they love you up, best sex you ever had, coffee in bed, breakfast in bed, you're the king, you're the best.
Okay.
And
Uh-huh.
that's called the buttering you up. That's called what do they call it? There's a tech.
Grooming or bond,
Yeah, they groom you up.
bonding.
Yeah,
Yeah.
again, and that's like dating. That's what people do. They don't say, "Hey, by the way, I'm diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenic and I have multiple personalities." They will do that to you. They'll wait later for it, right? So then, in the beginning days, they could say, they could say something like this: I won't be able to control you. And I would probably say, well, why would you want to?
Right.
It'll make sense. It wouldn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
But eventually, over time, they start working their way in. That, of course, remember, here's the thing: is if the good stuff's good, you can tolerate some of the bad. But the good stuff's getting smaller and the bad stuff getting bigger. Then all of a sudden, you got a big problem because the good stuff is disappearing and the bad stuff is getting really big. You go, I'm done. You don't
Wow.
care about me. And then you can say, I'm done.
Wow. So
Well,
you then have the awareness, like, I can't change this person. It's not my job to change
I
this.
can't you can't change somebody else.
Right.
I mean, you're having trouble now working on yourself, right?
Okay. But this is a common thought for empathic people. They
Well,
have, oh,
again,
you will
empathic,
change.
yeah, empathic people on a suicide mission
Oh, shit.
because you can't fix something who don't think there's something wrong with them.
Right. Interesting. But an empathic person will say, but you know what?
I
I
still
like,
believe. I
I,
still believe.
yeah.
Let me pause here. I'm gonna give you a different story. A friend of mine, and I really care for this. I know this person for a long time. She used to be a heroin addict, and she's been heroin free for 15 years. And she's got her life together. She's feeling really good, right?
Yeah.
And she goes out and she meets this guy, and this guy is super charming. He's wealthy and he knows how to play the fiddle well for her. We're going to get married. We're going to have children. We're going to travel around the world. And the sex is so good, she says. Best sex in my life.
Hmm.
Now that's again playing the fiddle, giving all the cards. And now what happens when they do this? They create a perfect image of this relationship.
Yes.
We
I'm
call
smiling.
this a relationship imprint. This
Okay.
is also the same thing a drug addict will have with this drug. It's the same thing as a gambler will have with the win that drives them keep going back to the losing program. So this guy is now doing things that are and so she would never do drugs. She'd never drink. She'd never do this. She'd never do that. And each time he works her down and she loses her boundaries. And he would disappear. And you know what she's doing in her head? Missing the love part, the fantasy she had in her head. Now he painted a fantasy in her head, and she's addicted to the fantasy. And then he comes back, he loves her up again. I'm so sorry, I found Jesus. I'm going to therapy. And she says, see, he really did love me. He really did love me. I said, what about when he sent your naked photos to her brother and to her friends? What about whenever he's hitting on and trying to kiss this girl and dancing? Oh no, we just ignore that. I have my fantasy. Now
Oh,
this girl has gone downhill dramatically.
oh,
I send her videos about narcissism. They're going to love you up. They're going to up, and they're doing, and she knows this, but it's that memory and the feelings inside that keeps her going back.
so she's getting the dopamine.
She's getting the thrill, and she's trying to reach her dream. She's holding on to the dream that it's a facade.
Right.
And
Oh,
now she's losing all of her hair, and now
oh,
she's really really in a bad place.
right.
And then she said I'm going into rehab,
Oh, so
and now she's in rehab.
she
All
started
right.
up again.
So I said, you need to get away from this situation. You got to get out and get away. Well, the problem is, I said, physically beating the shit out of her. I said, go report it to the police, but I don't want him to get hurt.
Right.
This is all a part of the programmings.
Right. So even having the awareness of this guy, and so what she did was she made excuses.
Mm-hmm.
She looked away. She put her blinders on.
Mm-hmm. Because she had her fantasy. You want to hold on to her dream.
Fantasy. What is this fantasy? So this fantasy what does that look like for someone? Is it because they're putting these blinders up?
Well,
Like,
hold on. You got to take the blind. We're not putting blinders up. They're
okay,
so in love with the dream.
okay.
They're
So
so in love with this dream. They want it so bad. It's like a heroin addict. I mean, by the way, guys, I volunteered 10, 12 years in drug rehabs, several of them. Well, one mainly in Hawaii. And that's what an addict does. I mean, an addict, here it is. They lost everything, their family, they lost everything, lost their freedom. And they wake up with sores and piss in their mouth and all kinds of horrible stuff. But you know what? When life gets horrible, when they're the worst possible, their brain pops in that little imprint. I got you feel good. I got you feel good. That's a heroin hit. That's the love hit that you want, the sex hit you want. That's the whatever it is. And they still go because they all the other stuff doesn't matter. They just got this idea.
Right.
And that's why they keep going back
Hmm.
because they're going to their fantasy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's how addiction. By the way, it's an addiction style program, but remember the addiction, it's not the heroin that they're addicted to
Hmm.
because the addiction itself is a solution to an internal pain.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And again, it's like why it's called trauma bonding, bonding to the addiction itself because it gives me the feel good. It's like it's like they're still going back to the abuser because in their mind they're connected to it. They create stories to justify it and they recycle it over and over again. Now the bad thing is that's what happens. But the bad thing is the abuser also is playing the same game with themselves. There's the thrill of controlling and manipulating someone. There's a thrill of conquering and overcoming someone.
So it's like the cat and the mouse.
It's an operating system. It's a complete operating system
Based on their childhood PTSD.
based on their programmings. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow. Okay. Can you talk about how you heal this? Like, what are you
Well,
doing?
how do you solve the riddle
Yeah,
in
yeah, sure.
cycle?
How do you solve the riddle?
Right, right. Because again, remember, none of this is an illness.
Right,
These are just emotional trainings.
right. Not a disorder, not an illness.
No, it's just a coping system.
Yes.
It's
Okay.
just like somebody said, I cover a dysfunctional family. I said, there's no such thing as a dysfunctional family. There's a family that functions. It functions so well. When you leave, you find another one just like it
Right. It's so perfect. Wow.
because it's a system.
So I
Now,
love
what you want to do is you want to upgrade your systems.
your perspective is so empowering. When you say that, it's functioning perfectly.
Oh, yeah,
So why are we cooperating with?
because you're part of the system. You've been trained to survive in it. Now, what you want to do is upgrade. Now, how do you get out of it?
Yes.
Number one thing is you got to heal the pain. You got to change the memories of what happened.
Hmm.
It's the memories that drive you. Now we talk about autonomic responses, unconscious responses. Even in Paul of Narcissistic, he says, my spirit is willing, but my flesh is weak. And what he's saying is, I want to do good, but my programming won't let me.
Hmm.
The programming is the controller. It's the background. It's the autonomic response. It's the limbic operating system. It's the unconscious programming. This is how we do it. This is how we do it. We've been doing it all of our life. Mama did it. Grandma did it. We all do it. So how do you update it? You got to change grandma inside your head. You got to change your mom inside your head. Inside your head, you can change. And let me just say this for real. It's not what they did. It's how you captured and internalized it. So if you have stories in your head about grandma being abused, guess who's being abused? Not grandma. You. That's your how to.
Hmm.
So to set you free from the cycle is to change the memory that built the cycle.
Hmm. Yeah. Every time you say this, it sinks in and I hear it differently. Like
Hmm.
I'm now going through level one twice. I'm
You,
in
you could,
level one again and I'm hearing it differently. I'm
yeah.
letting it sink in very differently. And it's really powerful material. And level one, you allow people in level one, people have access to level one for 2 years. And
No,
that's
no, we changed it now to a lifetime.
what?
Yeah, we just changed it.
Come on. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, stop there because I have never heard of a program that does that. I mean, people can give you their programs uh,
Mhm.
where they give the lifetime access, but this material,
Mhm.
I have always paid way more for other programs.
Well, again, this is a $10,000 life-changing course, easily, easily.
Absolutely. It is. It is. And actually let's tell the listeners about you have a free gift right now that you're offering people, and that is a free strategy call with me
Oh
where
yeah.
they can get clarity on their goals. Do you want to talk
Mhm.
about that?
Yeah, I mean, listen, some of you guys, I realize this is could be overwhelming. Maybe it's totally new and shocking. It's like it is totally the opposite of what you've learned. I understand that. But if you think about everything you've done, the system, operating system was the same. You're broken, something's wrong inside you. You have to learn to live with do it. So we're going to show you how to go in a way that will build a new life for you. You know, we have lots of, I mean, we got Crystal, you talk to me, anybody, and we can help you guide you on what to do. The most important thing about your life is not your life in general, but what's between your ears. That's your memories, how you think and how you process the world. And so if you want something better, we'll help direct you. We'll help
Yeah.
guide you.
Yeah.
All you have to do, let us know. We'll hook you up
That's right. And we'll have the strategy link in the comments or in the description of the,
somewhere. Yeah.
yeah.